then I started the Facebook Lives. And I did the subject. The first one was the 7 levels of awareness. And the reason I picked the 7 levels of awareness to start off on is because of the, if you're not familiar with it, let me just go through them. First of all, God, this call, so apropos, right? The first one is animal, where you hurt me and I hurt you back. Are we seeing a little bit of that in the streets right now? A little bit. That's animal behavior. People can say, oh, we're fighting for justice. No. You hurt me, I hurt you. You hurt when we go back and we do this. This is animal. This is all of you are in relationships. You say something ugly, your partner says something back. That's animal behavior. Okay, that is the lowest level of awareness. The second level of awareness is mass consciousness, right? Oh, well, this is what everybody's doing, so I'm gonna pick up a brick and go downtown too. Or everybody's has a job, so okay, well, I'm gonna go get one too. Or I heard Disney's hiring, so let me go down there and get a job. You know, it's just kind of a mask. Everyone's going to that movie. Everybody's wearing these type of sunglasses. So funny, Sherry, I was down in Colombia, and you're old enough to remember because you and I are the same age. But you remember back in the 80s, they had those glasses that had all like the multiple colors in them, you know, and you know, they were like, yeah, you can see purple and green and, you know, on the reflection. And I'm like, God, they were ugly back in the 80s. I went back to Colombia like 2 years ago and all the young people were wearing them. I'm like, oh my God, they're back again. And they're hideous, my opinion. You know, so it's like, that's mass consciousness. Well, that's what's in style. So that's, you know, doesn't matter if it looks good on you or not. No, don't worry about that. Or if you look ridiculous with all these colors in your cream outfit, right? But, and it's clashing with everything you have on. Forget that. That's what everyone's doing. So that's mass consciousness. But the third level, most people that come into Nikan, ladies and gentlemen, are not an animal. And they're not in mass consciousness, or they wouldn't be looking at this and coming on an application. But they are on the third level of awareness. And I probably have had 20, 30,000 people come through the turnstiles of aspiration. That's the third level of awareness. I want something different. I want a better income. I want more freedom. I want to do something that's good for society or whatever like that. But there's no action behind it. There's nothing. It's hopeful, wishful kind of thinking. And so that's the third level of awareness. Now, how does that relate to Nikan? Because you need to go ahead and get that person and get them to realize, that aspiration is a big old pothole. Now, none of us on this call would ever intentionally walk into a pothole. But we can avoid it. So you need to be sharing that and waking up your people. It's still going to happen, but try to save some of them, right? Like those little starfish thing, right? That we all heard that story. I can say I made a difference with this one. And make sure that you get up kind of in the grill. So I actually took the 7 levels of awareness and I actually printed it out and laminated it. And so when I'm starting a new person out, I'm like, just like this, I'm like, let's not fall in this pothole right here. Aspiration. Oh, I want something, but there's no plan. There's no action. It's just wishful hoping, you know. It's like, oh, I want to lose weight, but, you know, let's go for pizza tonight, you know, double meat or something. You know, so it's just like that. That's the kind of thing. The fourth level of awareness is individualism. And you need to share with your Nikan people, as I do recently, I've started with mine. It's like, that's kind of where it starts. That's where a good life of anything, forget Nikan. That's where anything, we step out and say, you know what, I'm an individual. I'm going to think for myself. Yeah, I'm going to gather the information that's coming in, whatever, but I'm going to kind of think for myself. So that's where the start. You want to then get people thinking, okay, this is what we want to step over aspiration, and we want to start looking at being an individual. And obviously our industry is, you know, if you care what people think, you wouldn't be in it, right? Because there's too much prejudice. Well, and the prejudice is based on 80% of it's probably based on ignorance, right? Because we're just taking products from the warehouse and taking them straight to the customer. You know, that's all we're doing. We get paid for finding customers, and I get paid for taking products out of the Nikan warehouse, and so do you, and finding customers. That's the distribution channel. That's all we are. Now, there's a lot of other noise around that, and a lot of companies have been crooked and dishonest, and that's where that stuff comes from. But that's not Nikken, right? So that individual, we want to go ahead and kind of wake up that person and say, you want to be an individual. But that's where it starts. But that's not where the magic happens. Where the magic happens in your life and where the magic happens in Nikken and everything like that is level 5. And level 5 is discipline. And discipline is when you give yourself an order and you do it. So you say, okay, we're going for pizza tonight, but I'm going to order the Greek salad and I'm going to go light on the dressing. And so that's that 5th level of awareness is discipline. Give yourself a command. And one of the things, Ruth and the rest of you guys, Pam and stuff on the call, is that what I learned in that is that, I guess it's kind of obvious, but it wasn't to me, that anytime you're negotiating in discipline, you're not negotiating with your partner or the person you're trying to do business with. You're negotiating with yourself. Because then if you go ahead and go to the pizza parlor, and we've all done this, and you're sitting there and you're eating your salad, or you're about to order your salad, or everyone else is eating pizza because you got there late, and you can smell it, and it's like, oh, what the hell? I'll just have a couple of slices, And so that's not discipline. Discipline is telling yourself, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to go silver June, July, and August. It's done. August 31st, it's done. It's over. It's finished, right? It's making that decision and then being loyal to it. And almost, and this is kind of another thing that I learned in putting that together, was becoming obsessed. And that's exactly how I got to be Royal Diamond. It had to be an obsession. An obsession's not a bad thing, and it's not a permanent thing. It's a state of mind to get where you need to get, and just everything else kind of fades off in the background, and you stay focused on that particular thing. And every day you say to yourself, when you're in obsession mode, is this decision I'm making today moving me forward or moving me away from my goal? That's what the whole obsession is, right? So discipline is where things really start to happen in Nikken. I'm going executive. I'm going to talk to 10 new people a month. I'm going to talk to 10 new people a week. Whatever it is. It doesn't matter how small it is. In fact, a lot of times it helps, depending on your personality. You guys that are listening on this call, a lot of times some of you are really good in group. Like for me, I need to be accountable to someone exterior because discipline is not one of my strengths, right? And you need to know yourself, right? So if I make myself accountable to someone else, then that kind of is the way I am. And other people don't want that kind of shame. No, they don't. In fact, the lady that inspired me to do those calls was she's the most self-disciplined person I've ever seen. She's 50-some years old. She has the body of a 20-some-year-old girl. I mean, she works out an hour and a half to 2 hours every day. She went to a doctor, got her whole diet based on her blood type, and she just works at it all the time. And I said to her, I said, my God, what, she goes, I don't know. She's an unconscious competent. She didn't even know why she's self-disciplined. Well, I know I'm not. So I have to have an exterior force. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter as long as you get the goal done, right? And if it's coming from the outside, from the inside, you want to accomplish something. It's better to have it from the inside, but whatever gets the job done is kind of my theory. As long as it's not hurting anyone else, whatever gets the job done. And so then the 6th level is experience. And experience is a lot of you on this call, where if I dropped you at a trade show, you'd be able to hit that booth and you'd hit there running because you just kind of know what to say. And at a booth at a trade show that you don't talk to one person for 25 minutes. And I used to do raffles. You don't do raffles because then people, if it's not free, they're rude to you. Then you don't even finish calling everybody. So I quit doing that. And so I try to connect with that person and then kind of share with them what the next step is. May I send you this email on diabetic neuropathy? May I send you the water video? And then move on to the next person. So experience is one of those things where you're just like 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, you can call me and I know the 7 levels of awareness. I know the comp plan. And you get into this kind of, you walk different, your posture is different, and you're in experience. In the state of experience, not inexperience, but you're experiencing experience. That's a better way of saying it, right? So that's what's going on with you there. And it's this confident thing, it's like, I got this, because I've done it before, or maybe you didn't do this before, but you did other things before, and they were successful. So it kind of transfers over into that. And then the highest level, the seventh level of awareness, is mastery, where you like, now you respond, you don't react. Well, some of you on this call know that my retail shop in downtown, they busted the window. And I got that text at 10:30 last night. Well, not to pat myself on the back, but again, you have to reward yourself, right? And I actually am kind of embracing the fact that I have chose to respond to that instead of going to some kind of panic. I'm 400 miles away. And that is mastery, is when you respond to something versus react. And that's why it's the opposite of animal, which is to react to something and not even think about. Your response is your reaction. So is it a challenge to do that? It is a challenge to do that. It's forcing myself to stay calm. It's forcing myself to go into solution mode instead of panic mode. All right, who do I know? What handyman? What's the size of the hole? What do we call the glass place first? Do we call the wood thing? Because I don't want to pay to put wood up. If the glass people can replace it, and the mind goes into boom, 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 boom. How am I going to respond to this and not put the energy in the because that's the reaction. And so that's where you kind of want to be. And one of the things that I was pointing out is that, you don't arrive like a guru or something like that, or I don't know much about the Pope or whatever, but that he seems to be a pretty evolved person, right, on earth, still with sin. We all have sin, but still very evolved, right? So we want to get to that. We want to get to that level where someone, a partner, that you have says something that's not so pleasant, but you respond to it instead of react to it. And that takes a lot of work. But right now, in that level of awareness, I definitely experience and mastery kind of floating between there. And I've gotten through this. And now I need to do what I need to do, file the insurance claim, blah, 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 blah. Instead of going into a meltdown and not being able to sleep. I slept great last night. Right? Okay. So that's the first class, was the 7 levels of awareness, and how it relates to Nikken is so important. Well, no, what's more important is how you incorporate that in your life and how you run your life by it. Because I think it's a great little napkin presentation to be able to share with someone and give them really a gift of that. But as it relates to the Nikken business, it definitely needs to be something where we cannot have people at $99 just handing Nikken $99 and be in the level of aspiration. And we want to wake people up. Don't do that. Don't do that. Be aware of that. Caution, caution. Avoid that. Let's go into action.